Good morning everyone and welcome to the latest monthly webinar brought to you by UNTHA UK. My name's Katie and I'm your host for today, and your speaker is our Sales Director Gary Moore. Before we begin, I just want to quickly thank you all for joining us. We've read lots of media headlines recently which have reported on how fatigued people are with video calls and virtual events. So we know you're very busy and we promise to make the best use of your time for the next 45 minutes or so. The topic is 10 ways to maximise your shredder profitability, and we've tried to keep the slides as succinct and straight talking as possible. We want you to leave today armed with lots of tips to achieve a greater return on investment from your machinery, whether you are planning your next investment or currently using UNTHA shredding technology or perhaps a different machine. We're going to go through the content as quickly as we can to hopefully leave some time for questions at the end. Fingers crossed you can all see a panel on screen in front of you now, so if you want to type any questions that you've got, large or small, into the panel as the webinar unfolds, we'll answer as many of those as we can at the end of the event. Also, if you'd like to continue the conversation offline afterwards, we will provide Gary's contact details on the final slide and he'll be happy to answer any questions that you've got. Finally, we are recording the webinar, so later today you'll receive a link to listen again if you want to recap on any of the points covered, but otherwise please sit back and enjoy. That's it from me for the housekeeping section for now, so I'll hand over to the man himself, Gary, who's your speaker for today.
Excellent. Many thanks, Katie. Very much appreciated for that introduction, and good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. Just before we kick off and we start the webinar, I'd like to thank everybody for attending, and just to let you know that sometimes we do have people attending and listening in that have some issues with bandwidth, depending on where they are based in the country, whether that be in the UK, in Europe, or more internationally overseas. Don't worry about that. We've got that covered. So if you suffer a bit of during the videos that we'll be presenting today, if you have some issues with those, this is all being recorded. So the videos and all the slides together with the notes will be available directly after the webinar. So delighted to be able to join you for today for this, the first of 3 informational webinars. So whether you're buying your first ever shredder, seeking to upgrade your current machine, expanding your waste and recycling operation, or building a completely new processing plant, these 10 steps are intended to help you make the best value decisions every step of the way. We know the world of waste is renowned for innovating, a concept that UNTHA embraces throughout our design and manufacturing philosophy. So we hope that by working together and discussing the topic of profitability today, there will be actions you can take to either strengthen the return on investment from your next shredder investment or optimize your existing plant. So before we get on to today's topic, I better give you a quick introduction to who I am for those who don't know me. Personally, joined UNTHA in January 2015. So been with the company, nearly 5, probably nearly going on 6 years next year. Previously with SSI for almost 20 years. And the next bit almost makes me sound a little bit like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. 30 years experience, most of that being in international shredding experience. In terms of UNTHA shredding technology, we are a global brand and a global business. We have over 9,000 shredders installed worldwide, and we are celebrating this year our 50th anniversary. So on to today's topic, 10 steps to more profitable shredding. Why does profitability matter so much right now? Well, the global health crisis and the resulting impact on the economy means organisations are scrutinising their business investments more than ever before. Many people outside the world of waste, recycling and alternative fuel production might presume that capital investments will grind to a halt as a result. However, as we've said, this is an industry renowned for innovating, and often in the face of difficult market forces. It is also an intelligent industry increasingly aware of the value in waste, and so it continues to evolve. I won't dwell on this too much today because I know we've got some senior figureheads on the webinar today, but briefly, a growing number of people in the industry have learned that it is possible to produce valuable, recyclable materials and resources, often to an exact specification, by shredding waste. These arisings can be reintroduced into the supply chain, reducing the need for virgin materials and fossil fuels, as well as the cost and environmental impacts of landfilling. Sometimes the valuable materials may even remain locked within disposed products destined for landfill. Shredding, however, can liberate these materials, giving them a useful onward life. And with all this comes the potential to generate a revenue stream from many items that many people would simply consider waste. So yes, we do believe there is still a value in waste. But recovery effectiveness starts with defining the perfect shredder specification. Get this right and the payback period for the equipment will soon be accelerated, plus the margins maximised. So what exactly should operators look for? Well, step one, fit for purpose machinery. Above all, the shredder should be capable of performing the job it was purchased to do. 4 key questions any responsible machine manufacturer should ask their customers are: number 1, what do you want to shred and how large is the material? What throughput do you require? What shred size is needed? And what is your downstream, or in some instances, upstream process? The answers to these questions will give the supplier enough information to provide a general shredder recommendation. The customer shouldn't be expected to know all the possibilities. However, in the most successful of manufacturer-customer relationships, both parties will then work together to address all the finer details that could affect potential margin levels moving forward. Step 2, flexible technology. The more flexible an asset, generally, the more diluted the market risk for the operator, and the greater the potential return on investment. If an RDF, SRF shredding line can handle a variety of wide material of input materials, for example, and manufacture fuels to meet different end user specifications in terms of particle size, calorific value, and moisture content, the market will naturally open up. Or if a recycling shredder can be reconfigured to handle different types of e-scrap, everything from circuit boards, old computers, electrical cable, and SDAs to LDAs can be processed to liberate many valuable materials locked inside. Precious metals, plastics, copper, and more can then be extracted and separated into clean fractions for the highest resale value. Of course, the examples will go on and on. Step 3, purchase price versus operating costs. Most operators will quite rightly pay close attention to the purchase price of an industrial shredder, because of course it must within financial reach of the business. That is why dual step shredding processes that can now be executed with a single machine are so commercially viable and attractive. For example, one of UNTHA's biomass clients used to process wood with a primary shredder, followed by a high-speed secondary shredder. However, limited resistance to foreign objects within the waste stream was resulting in unmanageable machine breakdowns and operational downtime. Switching to a robust single-step electric mobile shredder on the other end gave them the ability to reliably produce 30 tonnes of wood waste per hour into a P63 specification biomass fuel, with less than 6% 10 mil fines and 20% more uptime. The resulting product is being sold to board mills and biomass plants with approximately 18 tonnes of clean material, namely in the ferrous and the non-ferrous range, also being extracted from the overband magnet per week for resale. True affordability, certainly in the long term, is also influenced by several other factors, such as power consumption, ease of maintenance, service intervals, the cost and availability of spare and wear parts, and overall machine reliability. In short, what may appear to be a low-cost shredder at the outset could in fact become very costly in the long run if the operator encounters high downtime rates. We have many design features incorporated into our shredders that will increase profitability. However, we've recently launched UNTHA Genius. This is a condition monitoring tool which helps monitor, measure, and optimize shredder productivity in real time from an operator's smartphone, tablet, or PC, irrespective of location. It stores 4 months of data securely in the cloud for performance trend analysis, and it has multiple threshold alerts to notify the operator if something needs their immediate or imminent attention. Simply put, Genius is your shredder's brain.
UNTHA shredding technology. This is Mr. Meyer. He is the CEO of a waste management business that operates a recycling plant with an UNTHA shredder. Mr. Meyer is happy as a shredder, but there is always the risk of unscheduled shutdown. It's always a learning tactic. These interruptions cost money. To increase plant availability, Mr. Meyer monitoring tool. This tool provides advantages, high availability, immediate correction of deviations, increased productivity, significant cost reduction, and maximum data transparency in real time. Via the customer platform myUNTHA.com, Mr. Meyer is able to analyze, manage, and optimize his auto machine in an easy, user-friendly manner. He is able to review all process and operating data at any time, and is always up to speed on the latest condition of his machine, as well as the exact energy cost. Mr. Meyer will identify moving machine issues before they happen, plan service plans, and function. As soon as a deviation of machine data is detected, an alarm push notification is sent to his smartphone or PC, helping him identify the fault and decide what to do next. He is able to access and evaluate the productivity reports of his plant any time, either daily, weekly, or monthly. In case of questions, he can get in touch with the UNTHA customer service center. Since Mr. Meyer has begun to use Genius, he has benefited not only from the higher availability of his plant, but has also increased his utilization level, reduced operating wear costs, and maximised plant cost effectiveness. This makes Mr. Meyer very happy. UNTHA Genius, your shredding brain. UNTHA shredding technology.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Meyer. Very much appreciated. He always gives an extremely good presentation during that section. So, step 5, energy efficient motors. When the technology is driven by energy efficient electric motors rather than diesel hungry alternatives, the savings are vast, both in terms of financial and environmental gain. Depending on the operating hours of a shredder line, fuel consumption savings can reach hundreds of thousands of pounds over a 5-year period, particularly when you factor in the fuel duty and the way that fuel duty over the next couple of years is due to change. I did some calculations with a client recently, for example, as you can see on the slide there. Such savings will soon accelerate the payback period of the capital investment and maximise the margins the operator is able to make from their plants. From that point onward, electric-driven shredders can often help lower insurance premiums too, and have much lower maintenance requirements. So step 6, the entire processing line. Some systems need a shredder that can simply size reduce the volume of materials and nothing else, in which case the processing line is incredibly simple and the shredder specification is the operator's only concern. However, when handling more complex products, such as UPVC window frames, for example, a shredder will usually work most effectively and achieve maximum recycling rates when it is integrated into a system with a downstream separation equipment. The compatibility of the different machines is therefore crucial. The shredder's output must be optimized for the downstream equipment and everything must talk to one another. No specification should therefore be considered in isolation, otherwise performance and therefore the operator's profitability will be jeopardized. Nothing beats seeing a shredder in action, as this is a very different experience to simply seeing the machinery on display at a trade show. Seek to visit sites where your shortlisted shredders have been installed so that you can see how the equipment performs in a real operational scenario and ask questions of the individuals that work with the plant on a daily basis. In rare instances, some suppliers even have test centres which provide companies with the opportunity to trial the machines with their own materials. This very transparent approach to working with clients is a very valuable part of the research process, as it enables the quality and the relevance of the technology to be assessed before the investment is made. Other factors such as noise pollution, vibration, dust can also be audited during this process. So step 7, service and support. While a shiny new shredder is great to look at, it is a hard working machine and will require routine servicing and replacement parts to maintain its operational effectiveness. It is therefore important to talk to other organisations using the same equipment to confirm the availability and cost of spare parts, on-site and remote support, and overall ease of maintenance regimes. The answers to these questions will influence potential downtime levels, which could have a huge effect on the margins that can be attained. It's no big secret that machine throughputs can be reduced by up to 20% by not using manufacturers' original spare and wear parts. Add to that the fact that 70% of all shredder breakdowns are a result of non-OEM consumables, and the cost of purchasing the wrong parts soon spirals. We understand that our customers need quick access for hard-wearing, long-lasting and cost-effective spare and wear parts so that they can protect their shredder and their bottom line. That's why we've invested hundreds of thousands of pounds in a fully stocked UK parts warehouse. From shredder cutters and interchangeable screens through to motors and inverters, we have more than 8,000 product lines available. Your shredding system could be made up of hundreds of component parts. With a fully stocked UK warehouse, our aim is to support customers long after the initial installation for maximum uptime and yield. It's not just our shredders that make us stand out from our competitors. All of our customer services exist to help you maximise the ongoing productivity, performance and profitability of your plant. Our shredders are supplied with a 12-month warranty as standard, but because we want to protect your return on investment long into the future, we also offer tips and support to help optimise an existing shredder, which will hopefully be of interest to anyone on the webinar who is currently using an UNTHA machine. These include operator training plus refresher or new starter sessions, scheduled inspections and preventative maintenance programs, and screen refurbishments, parts audits, remote diagnostics, shredder trials and feasibility studies as operations evolve, breakdown assistance if the unexpected occurs, of course. Everything depends on the machine, input materials, typical operating hours, and clients' in-house engineering skills. So talk to us. Key tips for optimizing profits are 2, 3 or 4 knife rows. Cutter configuration can be changed to meet a specific material application. By changing the knife rows, we can increase throughput, or we can produce a distinct nominal particle sizing. Screen baskets and screen breaker bars can be changed to produce specific nominal particle sizing, and again increase throughputs and refine the relevant product sizes. Genius, the shredder's brain, intelligent condition monitoring tool, which we've just seen the video on. This maximises the productivity of the plant and can fine-tune the complete operation. Variable speed synchronous and asynchronous drive systems are available to suit almost any power delivery methods. And of course, cost-effective OEM spare and wear parts are always available from stock. So on to step 8, finance options. There is no right or wrong way to buy a shredder. Some operators prefer to own their own machinery outright, whereas others would rather spread the cost of the asset over a fixed term, especially if attractive financial incentives are available. While this doesn't necessarily enable a business to maximise the profitability of the shredding process itself, different procurement options do affect the overall purchase cost. The right approach can therefore help protect cash flow or free up capital to invest elsewhere if needed. And no two businesses are the same, so why should you be restricted by the same traditional finance packages? The benefits of our finance packages that we can offer will protect your cash flow, make best use of your capital, avoid adding assets to your balance sheet if you need to. Options will include service, maintenance and parts packages, and also refurbish, rebuild your shredder with financial help if you want to prolong the lifespan of your assets. And as you can see from the slide there, we have several different finance options which all come under different headings to suit individual arrangements: hire purchase agreements, refinancing packages, lease purchases, operating leases, and refurbishment finance. So step 9, do the numbers, or do the math, as they say in the States. The business case for an investment in new capital equipment will almost always come down to the numbers. The price tag matters, of course, although different finance routes can make things more affordable for organisations that need to spread the cost. However, other metrics are also important. It's crucial to calculate ongoing wear costs, as this will rapidly inflate the financial impact of the investment. Think as well about power consumption. Some electric-driven machines are now so energy efficient that fuel savings alone, when compared to more traditional diesel-driven equipment, quickly accelerates the payback periods. Then there's the possible revenue that can be generated from the sale of cleanly segregated recycled products. So include these projections in the numbers too. If in any doubt regarding how to build the perfect business case, ask the shredder supplier to help. This exercise should be very straightforward for them. And as Benjamin Franklin once said, the bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. So here we have an example, and we can see Mr. Jim Entwistle, the founder and owner of Lancashire Waste Recycling. His comment was that we've doubled our supply to one kiln over the past 18 months. So the impact on our business from savvier shredding is vast. Thank you for that, Jim. Very much appreciated. Step 10, seeing is believing. At the very least, try to speak to operators using the same shredder, processing the same types of recyclables, so that you can refine your specification based on the findings and insights of others. Of course, innovative companies want to break new boundaries, but in terms of a financially secure starting point, it seems foolish to reinvent the wheel when it comes to what to look for in the shredder itself. Better still, ask for a demo and see the machine working in practice. We went to a client's site in the summer, for example, with the new iTorque XR, and he threw everything at the machine. SDAs, super single tyres, mattresses, insulated roofing board, densely rolled labels, you name it, and it didn't miss a beat.
This is the latest version of the XR series, which is the XR High Torque seat. Absolutely fantastic. Still on the same frame as the other equipment that we produce within the XR range. That includes the same motors, the same electronics, and what we've done is produce slightly different rotor and also slightly different gearboxes, which has given us this really flexible piece of equipment which can deal with those difficult materials that most other shredders on the market would not be able to cope with.
Through this machine, what we're actually doing is we're actually recovering the commodity from that waste generated. So whether we're processing tyres, SDAs, which are small domestic appliances, LDAs, which are large domestic appliances, we have a commodity yield from that product. So if we were processing SDAs, which are very rich in ferrous and non-ferrous, we would normally generate about £100 a tonne for the ferrous, and we would probably generate around about £950 a tonne for the Zorba. For the tyres, what we're actually doing there, we're converting the tyre waste into a 50mm TDF chip. So rather than that being just a true gate fee for landfill, we're actually now putting that as alternative fuel at a much lower cost.
It's all about efficiency. We operate 24/7, and so downtime is very expensive. So we need to make sure that our process is continuous. It's imperative that we select the right partners, but also the right equipment and also the right feedstocks.
The machine's designed so that the customer can start production on the morning, they can run through the day, and after about 10 hours, something like this, they can adjust the cutters. It's a very easy modular system to adjust. They also have a maintenance activity in the manual which describes the parts that they need to maintain during a daily or weekly activity. High torque, low speed gearboxes and the 132 kilowatt motors, it opens up the customer to a wide range of shredding capability and possibilities of materials that they may not have previously thought shreddable.
We find that generally we can run harder for longer, I suppose is the best way of putting that. It allows us to put a mixture of materials without having to change too many set points, and we find that the torque really drives through the different materials. We rely on this. This is a central piece of kit to our operation, and it's second to none.
What we've got here is a machine that can produce those types of difficult materials, a low wear, low operation costs, yeah, and very high uptimes. Why wouldn't you want to look at the shredder to produce those materials for you? It's a no-brainer.
So yes, great words, Marcus. You know, it is a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you want to use this equipment to do the job for you? And as you can see here, we actually do stipulate that profit is not a dirty word. So along with being environmentally conscious, there is no shame in seeking to be commercially robust. Profit is not a dirty word. And in fact, being more resource efficient and more profitable often goes hand in hand. Operators should therefore think carefully about how to maximise the margins that their shredders are able to achieve. And if in doubt, they should speak to the manufacturers to answer the questions for them. So I know your time is important, and I'd like to thank you for attending this webinar. Very much appreciated. And I'd now be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
We have actually got quite a lot of questions, Gary, so I hope you've had your Weetabix this morning. I want to start with the Genius video because I'm aware that the audio didn't play for some. We have a question here. Someone has quite an experienced engineering team in their business, probably doesn't need an extensive service and maintenance package, but they would be interested in Genius and support with ongoing machine optimization. Is that okay? Is it an all or nothing from a service and maintenance perspective?
No, actually, I mean, it's, you know, one of the benefits and beauties of using Genius is you can switch it on and switch it off as you need to. You know, it's available in 3 packages. So the first 2 packages are like a starter, an advanced package. These are packages that can be added to equipment for existing users. And again, you know, it's a machine monitoring tool. It's the shredder's brain, so it helps the customer to monitor exactly what's going on with that shredder, so they can determine, you know, how quick or you know, how long the wear parts are lasting. When oil changes need to be undertaken, they can troubleshoot and see problems before they actually do become a problem. And then we have the enterprise system, which is a factory fitted system. So yeah, there's 3 distinct models of Genius available, and anyone that needs these details, they are available on case study details that not only explains a little bit more fully what Genius does as a whole, but we do have a sales brochure on each specific item of Genius. So whether you want a starter pack, an advanced pack, or you're ordering a brand new machine from the factory and you require the enterprise system to be fitted, is pretty much available for all UNTHA users.
Thank you. We've got another question here about the second video, so I'm glad to hear someone got the audio okay. The gentleman that spoke in the video, he talked about the shredders working harder for longer, and the question here is, how long are we talking? How long can you expect a shredder to last?
Well, these machines are actually, you know, when most, I suppose the easier way to answer all that is when customers finance these machines, they're literally financing the equipment for anywhere from 7 to 10 to even some 12 years. So that really gives you a really basic longevity of the machine. Now, I'm not saying that is all it will last. I mean, it will obviously last much, much longer, and we have equipment out there. I think we actually discovered one of our machines out there in the market that's 30 years old, still working, still doing the job, you know, and the customer actually then repurchased another machine and continued to use that. So these machines are built with, you know, a very, very long life involved. And from the video that you saw there, you know, provided that the machine is you know, is serviced and maintained regularly, then there's no reason why, you know, there needs to be a limit put on the longevity of the machine.
Thank you. There's a question about someone's interested in some more details surrounding the finance options, and they've asked what more you can tell them on that. If you agree, my answer to that really would be, how long have you got? So I might point that person in the direction of the finance fact sheet that we've produced, and a pre-recorded webinar on this topic. If anyone else wants access to this, please do drop Gary a line on the email address you see on screen, and we can happily send that to you. I suppose that the thing to say on that, Gary, is that the finance options are varied, and they really are configured, aren't they, to the project at hand.
Yeah, absolutely, Katie. I mean, we do have, if anybody is more interested in how the makeup of how the finance scenario works, then yeah, get in touch, talk to us. You know, we have got a definitive slide set that outlines all of those different methods of finance. So what we can actually do there, you know, whether they want lease purchase, hire purchase, off balance sheet, you know, we can pretty much cope with any finance option available. And if they you know, request that slide, it will become more clear to how the mechanics of the finance works. Very simple, very straightforward. So for everybody listening on that webinar, if you are interested in finance, ping me an email. I can send you the slides over. You can read and understand about each section of that module of finance. And then obviously, if you're looking at purchasing new equipment, refurbishing existing equipment, then you know, we can put you through for finance approval as well.
There's a question here, Gary, about confidential waste, and the delegate here has said that their objective is actually to secure destruction of sensitive material and compliance rather than profitability per se. But they've said that, is this still an application that can be optimised from a profitability perspective, or are we talking more about CNI and MSW waste when mentioning profitability?
No, absolutely not. I mean, right across the shredding spectrum, depending, it doesn't really depend on any specific industry that you're in, whether it's whether you're processing waste material or tyres, or in this case, confidential information. That confidential could be paper-based waste, or it could be IT-based waste. It could be product destruction. It could be any number of items. No, but the profitability that you can achieve from shredding that material is that you're charging for your service to the customer. The range of shredders that we actually manufacture will enable the end user to be able to supply to their customer the relevant degree of sanitization to shred that material to. So we're very proactive in the confidential destruction market for all of its waste streams, and yes, it is an incredibly service-led, profitable market.
Thank you. There's a question about single-step shredding. We mentioned single-step shredding in one of the earlier slides, actually, and naturally a single-step line has one piece of capital equipment which costs less, but does that mean it becomes harder to achieve profitability in a plant with more than one shredder? What would be your advice in that respect?
Well, no, I mean, it basically, I mean, I'm sort of going back to, with the years that I've spent in the industry, I've seen the actual model on shredding equipment change pretty much out of all proportion. And I suppose I'm putting the Gandalf hat on again here. But essentially, in the old days, we used to have to use, 1, 2, 3, several shredders to get to a definitive product size, and again, it didn't matter what we were trying to shred, whether it was a tire derived fuel for the alternative fuels market, or indeed whether it was confidential destruction. So no, single step shredding, the innovation that we've brought to the marketplace now in terms of variable speed eco drives, specific screen sizing, specific rotor designs to make sure that we can take a relatively bulky object down and in a single pass convert it to a specific nominal product size, makes it not only much easier to actually own and operate, but it's that very nature of that drives the cost down. And obviously, less plant, less potential to break down. You need less operators to run the plant. So there's single step shredding definitely the way forward.
Thank you. Just 2 questions left to go, and they both relate to COVID. We probably were pushing it, expecting to get through without discussing this topic. Someone has said that because of COVID, our demo's off at the moment. Is it possible to have a trial or not?
It's no, I mean, COVID, it's a very, a very sad and unfortunate, situation that we find ourselves in. At UNTHA, right across the group at UNTHA, all of our employees are, making sure that we do things in the correct manner and the right way, that we're adhering to all the lawful policies that we need to, and social distancing. That doesn't mean to say that we have to stop conducting business. So we are still conducting trials. We have to be, there's 2 ways, one, we have the trials in-house, in Boroughbridge, where we have our trial machines ready and set up available to conduct a trial. So all that we ask is we do the control monitoring when people enter the premises. We make sure that, we limit those numbers that are in the office. And then we have a period of time after people have left the office and the area that we can sanitize that particular office room in a safe manner, so that we can continue for another trial. When we're doing the external trials, again, we're employing, all the masks, the safe and secure distancing. It actually becomes a little bit easier when you're doing an external site demonstration, because typically we've got much more open space, so social distancing is a lot easier. So the quick answer is yes, we're still conducting trials. We just have to be a little bit more savvy how we do and run the trials, and make sure that people adhere to the regulations that we need at the moment.
I think it's also worth mentioning that we do film the trials as well, don't we? So if one person, for example, wanted to come to Boroughbridge to witness the machine in action, we can record the process, and that footage will be available after the trial takes place.
Absolutely, Katie. You know, not only that, but you know, we do video and record, but also we can do live video recording if required as well, so that somebody could actually dive. You know, we could set the video up, we could put it, you know, to a very private webinar for that particular customer. So yeah, there's lots of options available.
Oh, I lost you a little bit then, Gary, but I think we were just saying that, yeah, live virtual trials are also an option if anyone is interested in that. There's been one extra question coming, so I'll try and whittle through them. I'll tackle the final COVID related question first. Someone is looking at a 4-shaft shredder, but requiring that quite quickly. Will COVID put a stop to that? We do have stock machines, I believe. Is there anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, COVID hasn't affected our delivery scenario, because what actually several months ago, when this started way back in March, you know, we had a management meeting to discuss obviously the potential. We put measures in place to make sure that stocks were kept at an adequate level, so that if a customer's got an immediate request, we would like to think that if not immediately, we actually have better lead periods than we had before COVID, because of the decisions that we've made to make sure that we keep manufacturing and make stock available.
Thank you. And the final question that's just come in from a delegate, it's quite a big question, but I'm sure you can continue the conversation offline afterwards. They're just looking at the key differences, please, between single, dual and quad shaft shredders.
Single, dual and quad shaft shredders. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, it's the history of shredding rolled up in one sentence there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, to try and explain, you know, the difference between all three different technologies. They all have their place. You know, we use each technology, we do manufacture each of those technologies, single shaft, 2 shaft and 4 shaft technologies. And, you know, each machine can cope with a different range of products to a different throughput requirement as well. So typically what we do is when the customer, you know, what we look at is first and foremost, we look at the application. So once we've viewed the application, you know, we as experts will then be able to say to the customer, right, this is your application, this is the throughput that you need, this is the item that you want to shred, this is the feedstock. We answer a number of questions and then we make the recommendation. And that could, I mean, generally these days, and again, you know, with the way that we're moving towards single step shredding, both the single shaft and the 4 shaft shredders will provide that, because they do have integral screens. So we are producing a nominal product size. The twin shaft machines we do not fit screens to those machines. So obviously that would, you know, that would be a rough shred. So yeah, I mean, if you want to keep talking about that particular subject, ping me an email and I can, you know, I can list out some of the difference between the 3 technologies for you.
Thank you. And one more, I promise, that's it. We've just had one come in. We've got some international delegates with us today, and someone has asked what machines there are available, if any, in Queensland, Australia. They're looking for a demo on the other side of the world. Do we have any machines available there?
Yeah, Katie, are we specifically talking about Australia?
Yes, the person has said what machines are available in Queensland, Australia that would be available for a practical demo.
Yes, we have machines based over in Australia. We've been active over there now for a few years and been very successful over there. We do have a designated distributor over in that part of the world. Obviously looks after obviously supply support, after sales backup. So you've got local support over there. The machines that we have available, if you're looking at shredding, you know, tyres, waste, any type of that type of material where you need high volume, single step shredding, we do have the XR3000C available. There's 3 units currently installed over there. These are mobile machines, and there is a demonstration unit available over in Australia as well. There are also machines that are currently being delivered as well, which are LRK 1400 machines. These are single shaft machines that are used for processing wood-based waste and plastic waste. There's demo machines over there for not only in-house demonstrations, but again with the big XR3000 mobiles for external applications as well. So what I would ask you to do for the gentleman or the potential candidate over in Australia, ping me an email and I'll send you all the relevant details so that you know, we can hook up and put you in touch with the correct person.
Thank you, Gary. You will be pleased to know that's it for the questions. So I'd just like to thank everybody for tuning in today. As we mentioned at the start, this webinar is being recorded, and later on this afternoon you will receive an email including a link to access the slides and listen again if there was anything you want to recap on. For those of you that couldn't listen to the video, I do apologise about that, but hopefully when the slides come through you'll be able to watch those again at your leisure. Any other questions you've got whatsoever, please do drop Gary a note, and if you can spare 20 seconds to fill in a short survey about today's webinar, including what topics you'd like us to cover in future, that would be a big help. But otherwise, have a very good day, stay safe, and thank you very much from Gary and I. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.